All right, JB Bickerstaff, well, not JB Bickerstaff, but Detroit Pistons, Trajan Langdon, he spoke on extending Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey. He said they're going to talk to their agents, and usually franchises that are more on the frugal side, they want to get it done before sooner than later. Lions, you see, they like to get things done sooner than later. It's more of the cheaper variety, right? Check out Detroit Piston Talk playlist, thumbs to the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna come focus on Duren, some get Ivy out the way. Really, you don't know Ivy's worth. I think somebody was saying if they can get him between 20 and 25 million. I forget who they compared this contract to. That would be a great number. I think if you had to start thinking about it, if you start creeping into the 30s, you probably start thinking about, a guy like Derek White, maybe even a guy like Malik Monk. More of a bench guy, but he can start in this league, in my opinion. You may start thinking about what's the brother in Cleveland, Ty Jerome. Maybe you go Ty Jerome, Malik Monk, see what happens. So there are alternatives. There's guards everywhere, and really, if you wanted to take a step further, you know what I'm saying, and you wanted to get a Malik Monk or somebody like that, maybe you trade him to Dallas. You trade him for Klay Thompson, and you go with Klay, and then you figure out how to put a guard next to him in the next couple seasons or something like that. Maybe you go that route. I mean, there's alternatives for guards. You know what I'm saying? So really, next decade, ideally, you can do whatever you want to do. You can do a guy like Ivy. You preferably, you probably want to do, if you're gonna keep it the way it is, you preferably probably want somebody else that can create their own shot. So if you're not gonna bring in a Malik Monk or a Devin Booker, somebody like that can get their own bucket, then the question is, you probably need to keep Jaden Ivey. That's the problem. Who else on that perimeter can get their own shot? Ivy's the only person that can really get his own shot. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they missing. They missing somebody else that can get their own shot. So when you start going out there, then you start looking like, all right, marketing can get his own shot. They say they're not going, do that. So in reality, you pay him now, the leg, the break, both him and Aiden Hutchinson, I think they almost had a similar injury. It looked really, really bad, but it wasn't. They had a chance to look at how he looked. Maybe right now you say, look here, we willing to go 2 years, $20 million, take it or leave it. That would give him nice security. 2 years, we can revisit this. And maybe they good. Maybe they 2 years, 25. Maybe that's the highest you're willing to go. Maybe that works for you. After the season, you wait, and maybe you have a big season. You can do a sign and trade. I don't know if you're restricted or not. Maybe you can go that route with it. So honestly, really, replacing the guard is, and you have a guard like Cade Cunningham. You can put a guy like Klay, which they few far in between now. A guy that can defend his position and catch a shoot. I mean, in reality, you can put a guy next to him like DeMar DeRozan if you really wanted to. I'm just throwing names out there, Zach LaVine, if you wanted to. I mean, you look at the guys that you really can, put next to him. If you wanted to say, oh, let's get Jaylen Brown, you can do that. I'm not saying that they will or they should. The number of guys you could put next to K is crazy, but you need somebody right now, if you're going to keep the roster as constructed, that can go on the wing and get a bucket. As simple as that. You can't afford to lose Jaden Ivey and bring in the Klay who can catch and shoot, but then you don't have another wing that can go get a bucket off the dribble. That's the problem. So when you say Ivy, you better have a plan if you're going to lose him next year, or trade him at the deadline, trade him in general. You better have a plan for somebody at the wing to be able to create. That's the biggest problem right now, is to be able to create offense. Beasley is more of a catch and shoot guy. If you're gonna lose Dennis Schroeder, he's a setup guy. They priority, honestly, is to get somebody that's instant offense. Guys like Malik Monk. I'm trying to think about guys like Cam Thomas. They need guys like that can come in and get their own offense. And in reality, they need a backup. They need a backup plan if Ivy don't come back 100%. Somebody that can go get a bucket. Beasley is cool. He catch and shoot. He do those things. Sasser, he can do that. They don't trust him. Ron Hollins, you know what I'm saying? He working on his jump shot. I got more promise in Ron making 3-pointers than I do Asar Thompson just from what I seen last year. They need somebody that can say, okay, oh, they doubling K. Oh, he can go get a bucket. And they trusting that to be Ivy. But in case you lose him at some point between now and next season, trade deadline and this next season, or you need somebody, you know, to like beat it. They need somebody else that can go get them a bucket. They lose Schroeder, they need another ball handler. You know what I'm saying? That they can trust, whether it's Brogdon, Tyus Jones, somebody amongst that, Chris Paul. I think that fits for Chris Paul as well too. And as Chris Paul, somebody that can get his own jump shot too. And then I think you need a guy like Malik Monk. So you need a guy like Monk or somebody, or the Ty Jerome guy. I don't know much about him. Look at us now. You need somebody else, or Cam Thomas, that can really come off that bench and fire off and maybe ready for Sasser to do that role. And that's cool. You ready for Sasser to step up or Ron to make the step. But they need somebody they can put on the wing and they can just go get it. So I think that's imperative. Whatever level that's gonna be on, they need somebody that can go get it. So that's the risk you weigh in when you think about losing Jaden Ivey or Ivy and you don't have nothing else. You need somebody else that can score. Jalen Duren, you know, Gafford got a deal around $20 million a year. Read an article that said Duren is probably going to point to the Nicholas Claxton deal, 4 years, $97 million, 25 a year. And this is another interesting one here because you don't have another viable option. You know, right now you can go look at a Capella that they could be moving. I mean, you can go look at a couple big fellas. You know, I think Miles Turner will return. You can make a deal for Sabonis, I guess, if you wanted to do that. But DeAndre Ayton to be free after next year, don't really care for him. So that's the $1 million question. You know what would be interesting too? Jeremy Grant. I haven't been a fan about him coming back, but you looking for that guy on the wing that can score. You know what I'm saying? He can shoot it, he can score it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe might not be the time if he come back and play some defense. Might make sense, but with Duren, it's gonna be that's kind of harder to replace. But where a lot of people don't like him, they forget he's 23 years old. But some clicked at the end of at the All-Star break, working with Rashid or whatever it was. You know, I don't need him to shoot the ball. I don't need my center to shoot the ball. I swear to God, I don't need him to shoot the ball. Rebound, block, and learn how to post up and get a bucket. If he can get to the point where I can throw him the ball and he can get me a bucket on the inside, that's all I really need from him. You know, control the paint. You being 7 foot do me no good at the 3-point line. You know, it really doesn't. So, 25 a year. I mean, compared to Derek White making $30 million a year. Wish I did make $30 million an hour compared to some of these they're getting. I mean, the question is, will he bring it? But if I can get it for 20 for 3 or 20 for 4, somewhere in there, I mean, yeah. But if they're looking at the stretch 5 as being the future here, more than likely you might see him and Ivy get packaged for something by the trade deadline. Me personally, too young, too athletic, starting to figure it out. I trust his potential. I know people don't like him. Some people don't like him. Too inconsistent, but he's a kid. You're looking at that body he got now. He's a kid with that man body. So, in my opinion, I'm rolling with it. I'm rolling with him. I give him 25 for 4, and we can keep it moving. If he get to that, rolling with him, I'm locking that position down. I'm looking for another center that can stretch it out and shoot it. I see my boy Olenek got traded to the Wizards. Maybe I'll call them, get a Brook Lopez, give me another guy, big fella that can stretch it and pop it. That's about it, man. But yeah, man. I mean, I have no issue with bringing both back, but I had to say which more is critical. Kind of equally right now between Ivy and Duren because they don't have another scorer like Ivy at that position. Then it's hard to find a good center. So let me know what y'all think. Check out Detroit Pistons Talk playlist. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the link. First link in the description, the link tree is just take you to wherever I got going on. So I appreciate y'all supporting. Peace.